Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be an instructional video. We haven't done many of these recently because we've been on tour and all of these other tournaments and stuff, but we wanted to take the time to go back to the fundamentals and talk about the foundation of your game, which is proper footwork.
Yeah, so many people talk about fixing their release, fixing their swing path. All that stuff is a result of something else that happened properly, and that is your footwork. It's just like anything in life. If you can't walk, you can't walk and do the talk.
Exactly.
So we have to do the same thing in bowling, where we have to really break it down. And if this is not something that you feel like you have mastered, please stop working on anything else you're doing and master your footwork before you continue to work on other things that could potentially be fixed by the association of your footwork not being done properly.
Yeah, because in bowling, we have to use our legs and we have to go from the dots all the way to the foul line. So what better way to work on that than figure out what the proper footwork is? And today we are going to dive into that. Take you guys along the ride, just pass on the information that we know to you guys.
Yeah. All right, let's get on the lanes. And remember, footwork is all relative to your body type. So everyone's footwork is going to be a little bit different. For those of you who've never met Nate and I in person, we are taller, we have longer limbs. I am 5'9" and Nate's 6'5". What works for us and is the basic mechanics, but the information might need to be a little bit more tailored to you and your body size, how long your arms are compared to your leg, but this is the idea of what works for basic mechanics for everyone trying to improve their game.
Yeah, so we're gonna tell you guys today what works for us, and maybe it can help you in this video. So let's get on the lanes and let's talk more about proper footwork.
Okay, let's first start with how many steps we're taking. I take 5 steps, and so does Nate. Now we have both used 4 steps in the past to help us get our timing down. That's a whole nother subject, but we truly believe that 5-step is the best to create the most power. Now 4-step can also be very effective to break down and make it a little bit more simple, especially for women. But in general, I believe 5-step just helps generate a little bit more power and gets the swing to be able to be in a better position to be a more power player. For example, if you look on the men's and the women's tour, majority of the players that are at the highest level take 5-step because it is an easier way to create power if it is done correctly, which is why we're talking about it today.
Exactly. I was a 4-step bowler for quite some time, but I grew up doing 5-step. That 4-step period, I just could not get my first step short enough. It would go short, long, and I would just be all over the place. So I decided to eliminate it. And it is a good drill to use in order to either fix that first step or get your timing right, like Elise was talking about earlier. But I think that 5-step is better for timing and all other purposes.
Yeah, so the first thing is to really figure out where your first 2 steps need to be. Those 2 steps are the most important of the entire foundation, because what happens in those first 2 steps creates all those other problems that can happen, meaning swing direction, the angle of your body and where that goes is really important with the first 2 steps. Now, let's just break it down to more basic so everyone can kind of be like, where do I stand? That's also a big part of it, is making sure you get to the line with enough room. So the first thing you want to do is really just stand at the foul line and just walk back your normal walking back. So I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as a rule of thumb, you take another step because you do need that more room to slide, because at the end your slide is longer like this, which is about 2 times your normal step. So that's why my starting position is normally right in front of the first dots. So now once I get here, my first 2 steps are going to be my shortest steps. So for me, I just try to make them both the same length, and I know in order to have room for when I get to my slide position, which is, like I said, going to be about double your normal length, it's going to be
Roughly there.
Yeah, roughly here. So I know I need to get all my steps done to get to this position in order to have the best possible chance to have the best release with a longer flat spot, which again is a whole nother topic. So in order to make that happen, I know my first 4 steps before my slide need to get done there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm able to have the room I need to slide. You're going to notice that Nate's cadence and steps length is a little bit different than mine. Typically, women do have longer steps So in order to make it easier for myself, like I said, I just tell myself no matter what I do, I need to make sure that I have that length to slide. But I still know that my first 2 steps need to be the shortest. Like I said, as you will notice, my middle steps are a little bit longer than Nate's, but what works for me, again, is what's gonna be different for Nate, and what works for Nate is going to be different for anyone watching this video. But the mechanics of the first 2 steps being short is important for anyone. Whatever those steps physically look like, lengthwise, is going to differ person to person. So my first step is essentially just a shuffle step for myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'd say that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Very good.
And as you can see, my third step, if we're talking about a perfect world, is gonna be my longest step, and my 4th step will be a little bit shorter. But I know for me, they tend to be a little bit closer, but as long as that 4th step doesn't become so much longer than my 3rd step, I'm good.
Yeah.
So now let's throw the ball and see if I can do it.
I'd say that's pretty spot on. Like what she was talking about earlier, and I feel like she executed it pretty well.
We'll do one more.
Yeah, we'll do one more for all you people that want to see a strike. So hopefully that's coming up right now. So pretty much the focus is here. The first 2 steps are smaller. The 3rd step is like a lunge. The 4th step gets back to small, and the 5th step is like a lunge as well. Which Elise has done very well, and there is a messenger to boot.
It's gonna go a little bit into his mechanics and how he makes this happen effectively for him, and then into the mechanics of the direction of where your steps need to go in this sequence.
All right, so I usually stand a little bit further back, but for not moving the camera purposes, I'm just gonna, this is when I would throw the ball a little bit slower as moving up. So we have moved up to almost the middle part of the approach. Obviously, I have huge feet, so that's when I usually stand back a little bit. But in order to execute slower ball speed, I need to move up on the approach and be slower. So in this position, my first 2 steps are very small. 1 here, 1 there. The 2nd step is a crossover step in order for the ball to clear my hips, so that way I can have the ball go back and forth with ease. The 3rd step is a little bit bigger. That's when I get all of my power going into the line, the last 2. The 4th comes over, and the 5th goes into a slide. That's a lot of information that happens all at once. So I'm gonna just kind of walk through it one more time for you guys.
Another thing you will notice is the difference in our 4th step. Typically women have a straighter first step, and you'll notice what Nate does is he turns his heel, and that's very typical of a power player on the men's side, where they'll turn their heel. Heel is still straight in line where it needs to be, where it is the same as me, where my toe is also in line with that heel. Same thing, it's just that he's turning the heel to create a little bit more power.
Yeah, guys create a little more power than women, and also we create a lot more direction and angle, so that way we can send the ball right because we have a lot more rev rate. So let's just go through it again. 2 short steps, a big step, a short step, and a slide right there. So let's put it all together. Let's throw hopefully just 1 shot.
And I do also want to say in that step we were talking about where you turn the foot in a 2-hander, if you are a 2-hander watching this, that is typically the step where a hop happens. And that's just the nature of being 2-handed, where you're kind of off the ground for a second. That step is still like this, but it's a hop versus a step.
Yep, I agree. Beautiful. So yeah, that is the 5-step approach. Now we're gonna talk about what each step is supposed to do in a sense, like what it means, size of the step, why is it important. So we're gonna start off with Elise here. So let's take the first step, Elise. So that first step is just to get everything going, the momentum going. The push away doesn't move. It's just a step that is like the starter. Like you're gonna start your engine, that's exactly what's happening in the first step.
And it's straight in line with where your foot starts. So if I start on 25,
it's gonna end up on
it should be on 25.
26. Not everybody's perfect. You can give yourself a couple boards of grace, but it's supposed to go straight. The second step is going to be a crossover step. Why is it a crossover step? It's a crossover step because the ball is being pushed away and the ball needs to clear the hip. It needs to clear the body. It needs to replace where that second step was in the first step. It's going to go where that second step was. So what does the body do? it moves out of the way. So that way the ball can clear the path of the swing plane. So we're gonna go into step 3. Step 3 is going to be the longest step because this is where we are generating our power going into the line. We wanna throw the ball with speed, with power. That's why the third step is the bigger step, because we need to get all the momentum going. And what better way to do that than have a big third step?
And this is where your ball, now women are a little bit later, but typically men at this point, their ball is almost to the top of their swing. And so when you're getting into this next step, which Nate's about to talk about, you can create the room to now have your swing go back underneath you and stay in line. So that's obviously a timing thing, but that's why at this point, when you're doing it without a ball, your swing should almost be at the top of its path.
Correct. So now we're going to get into the fourth step. The fourth step is the power step. And what that power step is creating, it's going to be shorter than the third step. It's going to be kind of like the first and second. But this is where we load up. It's like when we're throwing a baseball, like we have the wind up, this is pretty much where it all happens. In this position where we're pushing off that last step. All of our weight is on the back foot, which is the fourth step in this situation, and we are going to explode into the line on our fifth step. So go ahead. And what you guys just saw right there, where Elise went into the slide, she really pushed off of her back foot and exploded into the line. And that is how you create power. That's how you create ball speed. And you also have better accuracy because you don't have to use your arm to throw the bowling ball. You now use your bottom half, your legs. Everything is loaded up on this, and we push off, and that's where everything and all the magic happens.
Yeah, and as you'll notice, a lot of people I've seen misconception, it's like walking a tightrope. That's not true. You're only walking a tightrope with one of your feet, which is your right foot if you're right-handed, your left foot if you're left-handed. So this right foot is always replacing where the left foot goes, but the left foot, other than the first step, is actually walking away from your body so that way your body can clear your hip. So after I go from this first step, which is straight, this is a crossover, you'll see it. Guys typically have a little bit more than women, but women in general, we go, I would say like about 4 boards to the left. Some women are able to do it straight, but I do think in general more probably have a little bit more going drift in that step. So the right foot is replacing where this foot once was. So if I'm here, it's straight, crossover. This one's gonna go a little left because this is, like Nate said, where my ball needs to be able to clear. So when this foot is replacing the next step, it is actually straight. So this foot, your right foot or your left foot, which is the second step, that's the step that is always on the balance beam, not the other foot. They both shouldn't just be going in front of each other.
Absolutely. So we're just going to throw, I guess, one more shot each for you guys. Where the first 2 steps are short, the third step is a longer step, the fourth step is the power step, and she pushes. The longer step, the fourth step is the power step, and she pushes and drives into the line, and she gets 9.5 because we all can't strike every single time we bowl.
Like we talked about earlier, your body and how long your limbs are is going to dictate how much room you need here. Now, obviously, I'm still taller, but Nate's 6'5", so he needs probably about 5 to 6 inches more here in order to create the same power and accuracy, because he still wants to get to the same part of the line as me, but his legs are longer, and he needs that room for his release to be able to have that flat spot and have the longest time through his fifth step, his slide, to have as much accuracy and power as he can.
Yeah, so all you tall guys out there that are bowlers, I feel for you. We all got to stick together, but we do have to be able to do this in several different ways. You know, when we get in front of the ball return, we don't have a lot of space, obviously, because we're long, our feet are huge, so we have to find a way to go around the obstacles. So again, just for camera purposes, this is actually just perfect for me to practice how to throw it just a pinch slower. So I stand, like I said, like the last shot, you know, a couple feet up. And this is really good practice. It's also a really good drill in order for you to have your first 2 steps small if you need to work on that. So that way you could have a big flat spot. We all can't strike all the time.
And obviously, he talked about when he's in different parts of the lane. The women, we don't see this as often. So typically on the men's side, they end up in front of the ball return, which here at Kegel, we don't have that as an issue because they do have the ball returns back. Now you don't see that in almost any center they compete in. So now Nate can kind of showcase you what he has to do. And this is pretty much the same for everyone because even if you're shorter, it's a very short space that as a male, if you want to get to the highest level, you have to be able to do a 3-step in the conditions that they play on. And Nate can showcase to you how he has to change his steps, still have the right sequence, still have the right timing, but also still give himself that slot to slide in.
Yeah, so we're doing a 3-step right now?
Yeah, so okay. Nate can showcase to you how he's still able to do all this footwork we talked about today, make sure he still has the right sequence. Now, he's still doing the same sequence, it just means that he has to compact all those first 3 steps, but they all still have to be the same type of cadence and length is in that slot required, but still have that room to slide.
Yeah, so pretty much a 3-step is emulating 3-4-5, but 3-4-5, the first step that you take is not going to be as big because there's not a lot of approach. I actually do my 3-step a little bit different now because I found myself, throwing my arm into every single shot. So I try to build up a little bit of momentum, so you'll see me kind of like rocking back and forth or whatever, but the steps are still the same. So I would say, I don't know, about this area, maybe this area. I would say, yeah, about this area. This is kind of what I battle every single time that I am in front of a ball return. Some are even smaller than this, but we're just going to set up and I'm going to get the ball into the swing and then start to get everything moving. So I'm just going to do it first and then talk about it. Because one, I also have to remember how I do it because it's been a while, so. All right, so that right there. So let's talk about it. We're gonna slow it down for you guys to see. I was kind of rocking back and forth, and then when I had my weight on the back of my right foot, I pushed the ball away from me, so that way I could get started into the swing where I am at my 3rd step. And then obviously you guys can see those steps are a little smaller, they're compact, but one thing stays the same, and that's when I get on that power step, the 2nd step in a 3-step, or the 4-step in a 5-step, I still load up on that back foot and I push, so that way I can create power in order to get the ball down the lane.
I also, can you get back in your 3rd step for a second? As you'll see from behind too, if you notice, not only the length, like we said, it matters this way, but if you look at the direction of the 3rd step, even as it's condensed into this simple form of 3 steps, one being the slide, if you notice that 1st step goes to the left a little bit to allow him to get the ball loaded up, as he said, in the backswing, but also be able to go straight back down, where the 4-step now replaced where it was stationary to load up into the slide. So even when he is doing this simple drill, which he also needs to be able to compete at the highest level, the footwork is still the same. The length of step changed, but the footwork as far as the direction, that 1st step, which is his 3rd step, went to the left. He was able to replace that stationary step straight, and then his foot now followed underneath, and he was able to not change his swing direction because his steps were the same.
Yeah, so we're just gonna do it one more time so you guys can see it. That is going to do it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Let us know down below if this was helpful for you. Give us your thoughts, what we can do to provide the best information for you guys so that way you can elevate your game. As always, we really appreciate all the support. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. And yeah, I mean, what else can we say?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions or concerns, or if you are a little bit confused, or you might take 4-step, leave those comments down below, and it's always a new video that we can do, and we try to break it down from like when we first learned it, and sometimes we might miss some stuff that we don't realize is important. So having that feedback of you guys telling us what doesn't make sense to you, or questions that you may have for your game, leave those down below, because there's someone else who might also have that same question, and we might be able to touch on it in a later video.
Yeah, we're here to help you guys. Thank you so much. If you need anything bowling related, make sure to check out NateandElise.com. Until then, we'll see you next time.